Aloha. I've been wondering what kind of support I might give you during this time when our private lives and our nation and the world is unraveling into what seems like opposing sides. And while I happen to believe that these experiences will teach us and guide us towards a whole new level of consciousness, I know that many people are experiencing great fear. And so this morning I wrote a meditation praying that it might lead you back to peace. And this is called the Heart of Love meditation. So please just settle into your stillness. Become aware of your breath. Breathing in peace. Breathing out peace. Breathing in love. Breathing out love. And then you go even deeper, further back towards your center, until you're breathing all the way into the quantum core of the very source of you. Breathing even deeper and further into that core until you are breathing yourself into your God's heart, no matter what your religion. Breathing all the way into the heart of your version of the divine. Now, if you can, close your eyes and let yourself come closer and closer to the source of love. Closer and closer to the essence of love. And that means closer and closer to the truth of you. Breathe in through your divine heart. Breathe divinity into every cell of your body. Allow the divine spirit to breathe through you. Absolutely no work on your part, no trying, no effort. Just allow sacred intelligence to breathe itself in and out of you. And rest in the wisdom that is you. Rest in the omniscience that is you. Rest in the sweet love that is you. And then gradually, without any effort, allow everything that lives outside of that love to be brought inside you. Because there's nothing, there is no one that is not made of the same divinity as you. There is no possible way for you to be separate from all that is. There is no thought, there's no emotion, no pain, no situation that's happening out there that was not originally part of the love that you are made of. And the pain is only because these thoughts and these emotions were once put outside of your love. And that leaves you in pain. And being put outside of your love makes us hopeless, desperate, mean, cruel. So bring them back home. Bring us all back home together. Bring them back to the wholeness, to the home where they lived before we kicked them out of our paradise. Bring us back to wholeness, to the home where we lived before we kicked ourselves out of paradise. Fall back in love with every person, with every action, every emotion that you ever stopped loving. Restore them. Restore yourself to the magnificent truth of your original existence. There was a time before when we were whole, and then we went into duality, and we decided that we didn't belong. We weren't part of the wholeness. And that was a time before we turned mean, before we developed coping mechanisms and strategies. So let us bring our confusion even back into the very center of our heart. Let us come back to the time before we blocked the flow of love. So breathe in your confusion all the way into your heart of love. And you can say to it, I can see how you got confused because you believed in duality. Come back home to love. Come back home to oneness. There's nothing to choose, nothing to decide, nothing to fix about yourself, nothing you need to change. Just come back to yourself. So take your shame back into the heart of love. Begin by touching your shame tenderly with your out breath. Caress your shame. Love your shame. Say to it, I understand how you could feel unacceptable in this human world of division. But invite your shame to come home to your heart. You know, there's nothing to forgive. You did the best you could given crazy rules of right and wrong, of urges and desires versus dogma of what is sacred and what is not. And so you say to yourself, I got lost for a while. Now I remember that there's nothing to be guilty about. Please come back into my heart. And then you breathe in. What was hurting is now joy. And when you breathe that shame in and immerse it in forgiveness, you restore it to its original self before it was banished. Back then it was just a desire, or it was just defensiveness, or it was just loneliness trying to get back to love. So now is your moment. Bring it back into love now. Bring it back into love forever. And now I encourage you to go and find your hopelessness, because it was originally hope that had been thrown out of your Garden of Eden so long ago. And now your hopelessness is probably masquerading as rage or arrogance or victim or apathy, or most likely judgment, that you pretend to judge other people when you're really judging yourself. So I ask you to stroke your hopelessness gently with the tendrils of your sweet love. Invite it to come back home. Invite it to hope again, to flow again. Because your only task is to continually return everything to love, not to being fixed or changed, but to love. No matter what. Return yourself. Return your old family and friends who you thought had betrayed you. It's just a story. They were doing their best. And return yourself to old family and friends who you thought you had betrayed. Because again, it's just a story. Now is the time. So go greet that bad news that you've been avoiding, that caused you to contract so many years ago. And go get the loneliness that has almost given up. Go get those beliefs that kept you from knowing your divinity. They were just trying to help. They were trying to help you fit in enough to be cared for as a child. But you aren't a child anymore. And you don't have to play by other people's rules in order to stay safe. You know, it hurt your soul. It hurt your heart. It even hurts your body to go against your own truth. But you do have to thank those coping mechanisms. Give them a medal of honor for serving on the front lines of your private war. No need to struggle, no need to force. Just open the doors to your heart, knowing that even those old habits of survival were parts of yourself that needed to lie in order to belong to your family. Take those lies, look at them directly, recognizing that while they were absolutely necessary at the time, they divided you against yourself. They took your trust and your kindness and your creativity and your wisdom, leaving you separated, lonely, mean and judgmental. Forgive yourself for doing whatever was needed when you were little. Go up to your rage and your guilt and your terror and bow namaste. I see the God in you, even in your most terrifying, obnoxious, ugly forms. And return those coping mechanisms to their original love, their original truth, and invite them back in. Some will come dancing through the front door of your heart. Some will wait and watch to see if they can trust you now. You don't have to convince them. Just keep the door open. Invite your wholeness rather than trying to force anything. So just breathe in and out. And every time you breathe in, bring some part of you back to the love. And every time you breathe out, send love to some part of you, or some part of the world, or some part of your friends, some part of those people who you were convinced were your enemies. And bring back the love, even for those who aren't sure that they can trust love yet. Let yourself understand that we all of us wanted the same thing. We wanted to be honored. We wanted to be safe. We wanted to be loved. So gather the courage, and it takes a lot of courage to love, even when they can't love you back yet. Someone has to go first. Someone has to be living proof, and I think it should be you. And so I ask you to join me. Let's do this together. Because this is the moment in history when it is so painfully clear that love is the only solution. Not because they did it perfectly, not because you did it perfectly, but because it destroys us at every level to withhold love from anyone or any situation. Breathe in love. Breathe out love. And now breathe in and out through your lungs. Love in to your lungs. Love out from your lungs. So that there is nothing that you cannot hold. You will be able to speak your truth now with loving kindness. And breathe in and out through your heart. love in, love out. Because tenderness is always, every single time, more effective than judgment or hate. And breathe in and out through your mind. Everything that comes into your mind becomes wisdom. And everything that comes out from your mind becomes a solution. And breathe in and out through your hands. Love in, love out. And begin to use your hands to embrace and to pull into your heart everything that has lost its way. Guide it back to you. And as it comes back home, stand at the door and embrace it. Hug it. Welcome it. And then on the out-breath, use your hands, use your whole body to send love flowing out from your heart to birth the world around you. Breathe in. Breathe out. Welcome life. Join me in birthing a new life for each of us. Join me in birthing a new society. Join me in birthing a whole new world, because we have waited for this for many, many lifetimes. And finally, this is the time. And it all comes from the heart of love.